Hello, and welcome back to the channel. This is RollingSwarm, and this evening, well, whatever time of day that you happen to be watching this video, we've got something pretty special for you. We're going to be talking about mad games. Specifically, what I'd like to do is speak about a particular combination of abilities in mad games. Saboteur System and Irradiator, and what a fantastic combination those two happen to be. With Saboteur System, once your vehicle is spotted, the light bulb appears immediately. If your vehicle is beyond the range within which it can be spotted, it immediately becomes invisible to the enemy team and disappears from the minimap. And again, that's activated automatically, and its effect is permanent throughout the course of the battle. Now, the other ability, Irradiator. This allows all allies to cause more damage to the enemy vehicle you targeted with the ability when activating it. Specifically, you're going to be dealing 50% more damage to an enemy vehicle. The player that activated Irradiator is visible on the minimap while the ability is in effect. The ability expires earlier if the affected enemy disappears from the minimap. You cannot apply Irradiator to a vehicle already affected by it. The duration of this effect is 13 seconds and the cooldown is 30 seconds. At tier 10, this combination of abilities applies to 4 vehicles. The FV-183, as you're seeing playing at the moment, the FV-4005, the Jg.Pz E100, and the Hori Type 3. 4 tier 10 TDs that are already pretty formidable on the battlefield. So the purpose of this video is to walk you through how those abilities play out in these tanks, talking about the strengths, the weaknesses, showing you the incredible things these abilities paired together on these tanks are capable of. And also then, I think we should probably take a look and talk about the potential of this combination in a hypothetical Mad Games tournament meta. But first, I think it's worth a highlight reel. And maybe you'll begin to understand why I call this combo a ninja with a sledgehammer. We'll start off by looking at the Ho-Ri Type 3. This tier 10 TD is sort of in meta at the moment in public matches. In mag games though, as a ninja with a sledgehammer, one of the destroyer class vehicles with a combination of Saboteur System and Irradiator, it falls into a bit of a weird position alongside its siblings, the FV215B, the FV4005, and the Jg.Pz E100. It doesn't hit as hard as them, either in terms of alpha or in the raw burst damage that can be applied by the FV4005. However, what it lacks in alpha, it makes up for in mobility. It is the most nimble of these tanks, and that means it's in one of the best positions to make use of the Saboteur System. And you can see that's exactly what I'm doing here on Desert Sands. I've joined the mediums on the medium flank, applied Irradiator to the T62 Alpha, made short work of him, and now, again, using that Saboteur System, I'm going to get the drop on the STB1 while he focuses on my T54 ally. Easy side shot. And then, once again, off the radar, I'm free and able to push in towards the B cap, unspotted, not drawing any attention, and that means I've got a better chance of getting a nice side shot on an unsuspecting E100. Irradiator applied, 755 damage landed. So, although you don't have the alpha damage, you don't have the burst damage, you personally are not going to make the best use of the Irradiator ability in this tank. Because of your armor profile, because of your mobility, you can be in the right place at the right time more often than not, and that means you can support mobile tanks on your team. You can see we've just teed up the E100, our allies put in a lot of damage, we were able to finish him off. No one near us, the Saboteur System kicks in again, we're off the grid. This game is one and done. We had a very strong team, and they really helped us close the deal. We were able to use our Irradiator ability for the team's benefit. So the Ho-Ri, it doesn't shine. You don't get the oh my god that was obscene moments that you get with the FV215B 183 or FV4005, but it's still got its utility. This is another replay where I'm using the Ho-Ri in a support mode. I'm being a team player in this game, and think it's probably one of the best demonstrations of how you can use this tank effectively. Once more, I've got the mobility to reach the front line. I'm going for that D cap, the heavy flank, the DC cap. I've got the armor profile to hold this area pretty effectively against anything that comes around the corner. The enemy team, we know they've got WE100s. Looks like that's a WZ113 as well. Very unfortunately not penning the E100, but we've lit him up with the Irradiator, and that's enabled our allies to output a lot of hurt onto him. Watch that E100's hit point pool. You can see when the damage is done to him by our allies, the Irradiator mark appears next to their damage. And although we don't get all of the assist for that, you get the warm fuzzy feeling inside, knowing that you made a difference. Now we get extremely lucky here because we're irradiated, and we only take 630 from the high explosive of the 183, but notice when I pull back there, his Irradiator ability dropped off me. That's an advantage of the Saboteur System. The Saboteur System takes you off the minimap when you're unspotted, and that removes the Irradiator effect from you. So rather than it being active for 13 seconds, you cause an enemy targeting you with that ability to effectively squander it. It's no longer applied to you, and that means, well, they've got a 30-second cooldown to play with. And once more, we're able to just use our speed and mobility to get into the thick of it, and Rolling's accuracy is bad. But Irradiator, ram on the rear, armor for 300 into that WZ113. A quick execution to the back of the head. We haven't done anything fancy here, but our assist numbers are really, really good. And again, it's that mobility. This TD of the 4 in the Destroyer class, ninjas with sledgehammers, this is the one that has the best mobility, most of the time. Of course, the FV4005 with the super duper speed boost can hustle like no one's business. But that is on a pretty lengthy, that's on a pretty lengthy cooldown. Sometimes when I watch my replays back, a part of me dies. A part of me dies inside. But I hope this demonstrates to you there are some interesting uses to Saboteur System, and there are ways to use the whole Retype 3 in the carnage and the insanity that is Mad Games. And it's a bit different to the others, but it can be incredibly rewarding. So where the whole Retype 3 uses its mobility to excel and apply the Mad Games assets that it has effectively, well, the Jg.Panzer E100, it doesn't. It is the epitome of the big fat German pie eaters. The E100, the mouse, the Jg.Panzer E100. This is it. This is pretty much as fast as we go. We've got one pretty tame speed boost consumable, and that's lackluster even in a standard game. But in Mad Games with invisible tanks, turbo boosting tanks, you name it, everything's going faster, doing more damage. It is carnage in Mad Games, and the Jaegeru, the Jg.Panzer E100, well, it suffers a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Now, this is a hot take. It's a controversial opinion. I know that this is a very popular tank, and please, TDs. I'm not a TD main. It's my weakest vehicle class, so I would not say that I'm an authority on how best to drive these tanks. But I think when you look at everything on balance, the Jaegeru struggles in Mad Games. Now, if you've got a good platoon mate, if you've got a great team, my goodness me, can this thing sing. You've got solid armor, you can irradiate targets, you can apply lots of damage, but you're still limited by that mobility. The fight here, we've been moving pretty much non-stop for a minute and a half, and just because where the enemy's gone, we haven't been able to get in. Oof. Good shot on the moving Batchat. I didn't have enough time there to activate the Irradiator and take the shot. It's a mechanical limitation on my part, but that is something to bear in mind actually with the active abilities like Irradiator. It's another button, another mechanical step that you have to think about, you have to take. And also, I don't know about you, but on touch controls, those buttons, when you add a fourth one in there, they get a little bit smaller, and a little bit harder to hit. It's just another thing to think about. But that is what we're talking about. The T-57, we hit him for 1,300 and change. He hits us with his own ability back for a pretty healthy 600, but still, he's dispatched. Our team's working pretty well. I'm now in the city. I've got elements to the left and right. Getting flank is a huge concern. Saboteur System, though, means you're slightly more confident that the enemy won't be getting such a decisive drop on you. But still, I have to choose between which two tanks do I want to go for. Do I want to go to the heavies or the TDs? Jaegeru doesn't have the crazy HESH penetration of the 183, but still with a Radiator and AP, you can do a lot of damage. And you can see, for me, I feel the Jaegeru can be fantastic. Tortoise ramming us for 900 damage, and we're just kind enough to oblige for the rest. So the Jaegeru, yeah, you can do lots of damage. The Saboteur System, combined with your poor mobility though, it's not tremendously useful. It's better than nothing, but it's something that's there in the background. It's not going to be a tremendous asset for you, unless you're camping, which is not something I think you should be doing in the Jg.Panzer E100 at the best of times. But for those of you who know me well, you will know that we are now leaving the dark and foreboding territory that is the turretless TD, and we're going into the light and pleasant land of TDs with a little bit of turret mobility. Now, the FV4005, it's big. It is a barn with no armor. You take lots of damage in this thing when you get spotted, so the Saboteur System is a superb addition to this tank because it means that you can take a lot more risks, you can engage a lot more comfortably from range. For example, if you fire from soft cover, you'll be spotted, once you fire, but as soon as the camo penalty from firing is resolved, you'll go back off the radar. You'll be unspotted again and free to re-engage. Probably you're going to take a lot less damage during the course of the battle. It's a huge asset, both for the FV4005 and for the 183. Like the whole Type 3 though, the FV4005's got the mobility. You can push up, you can climb hills, you can flank. And you see there, we got the fire, but we output a lot of damage. The Irradiator, we've got a great VT on our team, was able to finish off the Type 95 before he even knew what was happening. Absolutely brutal punishment, the epitome of mad games. Once more, we're taking risks here. We are happy to be more out in the open. We know as soon as we get spotted, that light bulb is going to go off, like so. And we know as soon as we're no longer spotted, you see the light bulb went off again when we fired, we're not going to take any damage in that window unless someone gets very lucky with a blind shot. The FV4005 doesn't have the crazy alpha damage potential of the FV215B183. However, the burst damage means that you can split damage between targets. As you know, that's more useful in the late game, mid-game stages when there are less full HP targets, more targets with a bit of damage left for finishing off. And that has its own utility. Once more, we're using the FV4005's mobility and the Saboteur System to get into position. We've applied Irradiator, that's done lots of damage to the Jg.Pz 100, and we've double tapped in, taken a hit from the ML2, but we're able to output one in return. A pretty simple game, but a nice demonstration of how you can use this tank effectively. We played on the medium flank, we played aggressively, we were able to take risks thanks to the Saboteur System that we might not have been able to take otherwise. We were able to use Irradiator to make our shots hit harder and to assist our allies. And that is how the FV4005 do. It's like a ninja with many smaller sledgehammers. And definitely for me, I prefer it over the Jg.Pz 100 and the whole Type 3. Point of order, that Thunder camo, one of the oldest camos in the game, still one of my personal favorites. Couple that with the tea time attachment on the FV4005, and it's just a recipe for some great happy aesthetics. Sheridan missile, trying to climb there using the speed boost ability, jump forward 50 meters, wasn't quite enough. I'm going to try and tell him, nah mate, try and climb there. Although I don't know why I'm telling a light tank to camp in a TD spot, but apparently I'm feeling very altruistic in the Mad Games mode. I play very passively in this game. It's a counterpoint to the previous game that we saw on Dead Rail. I think it's always worth remembering, and that's a mistake there because I fired before I applied Irradiator, but Irradiator helped. Irradiator shut down that Leo 1. We didn't do a lot of the damage, but our teammates, the Skoda and the Sheridan missile, were able to remove him. Now the Skoda's just horribly out of position. He's been irradiated by the Foch or the Batchat by the looks of it, and deleted. Now we're a minute and a bit in. I've been quite passive. We've lost the Skoda, the Sheridan missile is bouncing towards B, the rest of our team's over on C. I want to hold on to A for as long as possible. I've got the Saboteur System so I can peek back and forth here, using this bush, using this hard cover of the hill to my advantage, using the distance between me and the enemies that are behind A. And remember, I've got that super duper speed boost. It's on the right hand side, it's linked to the E control on my PC apparently. And again here I'm making some bad plays. I've got the Irradiator, which is first, but 739 is amazing, but I'm not using all of the abilities effectively. Tortoise, he's taken a bit of a hit, but now I'm worried. I'm concerned, I'm gonna get pushed, I'm on a drum reload. It's not great, but look at this, the FV4005 can haul ass. We're going 50 kilometers per hour. And I have a little assess of the minimap at this time. I can see that we've got a big numerical advantage. I know that there's the Kranwagen and the Hori on the enemy team around the sea area. That means it's just a Tortoise, which is a 2-shot irradiated for me, and a Foch. I'm pretty sure I can take that. And so, again, I've got some mobility in a straight line, I've got the turret, I can push in, I'm feeling pretty confident. And here, this is the instance when I use all of the abilities correctly. I go for the Irradiator, and then I make sure that I dial in the accuracy, and I finish him off. And that's a pretty good trade. That's 1,000 for not even 100 HP taken. We shut down the Tortoise. That mobility of the FE45 comes back in again, and we can bounce back towards our friendly object 704. Couldn't do that in the Jg.Panzer E100. Would probably struggle to do that in the FV215B183, either because of the mobility or because of the lack of multi-shots. Now it's me in a 704 versus a pretty healthy Kran. We've just heard the Kranwagen go stealth. We've been spotted. We know we've been spotted immediately. We're pulling back. We're trying to give ourselves as much time as possible. That's a full, well, nearly full health Kranwagen. We've irradiated him. He's healing himself with our hit point pool. No, he's not. He's dead. Easy peasy. You can output a scary amount of damage through that clip on very tough targets. And let's just, if we just show you there, wow, the 704 did a good job. Just want to show you what we did to that Kranwagen. We hit him twice for 1,587, and the Object 704 was able to deliver the killer blow. The FE4005 Mag Games Saboteur System and Irradiator has got a lot of flexibility, but it's still pretty soft. You still don't want to get caught out in the open in a brawl. I've got some painful replays of that I don't want to show you, but just bear it in mind. And it is no coincidence that I have saved the best / my favorite for last. The FV215B183 is, well, it's a very controversial tank in a regular game because of Hesh. Hesh plus Irradiator is flat out, I don't want to say broken, but it enables you to do hideous things to people. Hesh, max raw potential, 1600 HP, stick on another 50%, 800 HP. You can output a non-ammo rack theoretical max damage of 2400. A Tortoise, 1800 HP, is a comfortable one-shot with Hesh. Take the penetration boost and just laugh. Now, you are not as fast as a Hori, you don't have the speed boost of a 4005, but you're not sluggish like a Jg.Panzer E100. And with the Saboteur System, you can push up aggressively and confidently, safe-ish, in the knowledge you're unspotted, and you'll know immediately when you are. And look, oh, it's a 140. What's that? He's on 1500 HP. He'll heal himself for a bit. It's not enough. 1600 in through the side of the 140. Like, that is very, very easy to replicate. Of course, the FV215B183 is a priority target, I have found. If you get overconfident, if you overextend, the enemy will not suffer you to live. And even when your Irradiator is still cooling down, you still have Hesh. You can still one-shot the Leo. Life is good. For me, when we talk about the Destroyer class, when we talk about ninjas with sledgehammers, we talk about the FV215B183 in the hammer camouflage. It's black like a ninja. It's got a really big gun. Looks a bit like a sledgehammer if you've played it as much as I have, and have been living with the metaphor in your head whilst editing this video. It is too much fun, and I can understand that this could be a very, very frustrating tank to play against, and I have experienced that in Mag Games. Of course, you still have all of the other benefits of Saboteur System and of Irradiator. Irradiator teeing up enemies for your allies, and Saboteur System getting the drop on the enemy when they least expect it. And you can then do it with a irradiated Heshram to the face. Of course, you don't have to be a suicidal maniac like I typically am when driving these tanks. It is perfectly acceptable in a TD to sit at the back of the map and snipe enemies whilst laughing like the evil genius that you are. I must confess, probably one of the reasons why I don't usually enjoy playing TDs, and I'm usually not very good at playing TDs, is because I really struggle with the whole patient hunter waiting for the enemy to put itself in the right place for you to hit it for lots and lots of damage. That's a mental challenge that I struggle with on the regular. And this, I think, is probably one of the few games that I played in the 183 in Mad Games where I forced myself to be passive. And lo and behold, if you wait long enough, targets will present themselves to you, and you can just use, again, that Saboteur System. You can get spotted, you can get unspotted in an instant. And the Irradiator, actually, the 183 pairs probably one of the best with the Irradiator ability because your reload is so damn long, like close to 20 seconds. You'll probably be getting out an irradiated shot almost in time with the next available target. I didn't even, again, that's another Leopard 1 for 1200 and something damage. Didn't even need to use the Irradiator. And we can use the pretty good climbing ability of the 183 going backwards just to poke here. And you can be so comfortable up here knowing that with the Saboteur System, as soon as you're spotted by the enemy, that light bulb's going to go off. You have immediate information. It means that you can react instantaneously. You minimize the time that you're a vulnerable target open to receiving enemy fire, and you can maximize the time that you can stay in position ready to output damage. I didn't do it perfectly there, kind of vacillating between covering that little the railway to the right and also looking for cross shots on the medium tanks that are over on D. Our team's doing a good job here. We are camping hard, but it's a TD. You're allowed to camp, even in Mad Games, and especially when you're up against very, very mobile opponents. Remember, the FV183, it can be outmaneuvered when tanks don't have crazy mobility powers and abilities at their disposal. If you overextend in any of these destroyer class tanks, you are going to get Circle of Death. You're going to get swarmed by smaller tanks with great DPM. They're just going to be all over you before you know what's going on. So sometimes, like now, and particularly because I know one of the opponents is from BPS and is a good player, it can pay dividends to wait. It makes you a horrible person, and people will tell you that this is bad for the game. But if you're playing for the win and you're having fun doing it, I think that's all that matters. And now we're just waiting. We've had two beautiful shots, and we're just looking for our next victim. The Sheridan missile from our team. Our Sheridans were initially camping, but maybe problematic. We're just waiting now. We've got the cap advantage. We're quite happy to wait. I've got Saboteur System. I've got soft cover. I've got a wonderful field of view and a firing arc. Those guys will really struggle to get out past me without exposing themselves to a whole chunk of damage. And I think this is something, it's just the ability. There are very few game modes where you have the potential to output so much damage in one shot. E50M shutting down our ST1. Our Sheridan missile having the runaround on D, getting absolutely nowhere. Me telling my teammates, like, just stop. Stop moving, stop dying, let them come to us. I've got this, and got this I have. We get the adrenaline on the go. We know we're going to take the shot in the next 15 seconds. It'll save us another button so we can irradiate and hit for 1400. And Billy, poor Billy, is down. But now this is what happens. It's just one medium. It's just one E50M. It's not even the fastest. But he gets the track on us. We're down to 1k HP. Maybe should have waited for the Irradiator. Probably wouldn't have got the angle on the E50M to penetrate him, but it might have resulted in a one-shot. And we're just going to get burnt down slowly but surely. And I think it's a fitting way to end our little montage. And you can see the E50M also has Saboteur System. He's dropped off the map straight away. And here's our A100 and the caps ticking over in our favor. But these vehicles in Mad Games, they're a hell of a lot of fun to play. He doesn't get it. Oh, they are a hell of a lot of fun to play.
So, well, first of all, if you've made it to this part of the video, thanks for hanging in there. Or if you skipped ahead using the timestamps, kudos to you for the initiative. Video editing, this is my first foray into it. I've got to say, it's way harder, or at least more time consuming than streaming. It's certainly a different skill set. Let's put it that way. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed. I certainly have been having a blast playing Mad Games. One of the things that's always been in my mind, and I have thought this since the day that Mad Games was released into World of Tanks Blitz. I think that was back in 2018 now. My goodness me, literal years ago. Was, holy shit, this game mode would be amazing for tournaments. I'm a huge fan of studying is a strong word, exploring and kind of conceptualizing and theorizing about vehicle metas and the evolution of tactics and team strategies and even the groups of players. And I think that Mad Games, the abilities that are currently present in this game mode, would just be perfect for tournaments. I mean, even just for fun. Obviously, you know, I've got the avatars there for the most recent Twister Cup, and also this one of these Mad Games avatars. I'm not suggesting that we turn Twister into a Mad Games. Hell no. I'm just saying that I think Mad Games would be so cool to watch, and it would be incredibly fun for the people that are involved in tournaments to kind of deep dive into the meta possibilities that surely exist. And that no one has had a chance to explore, because we don't even have Mad Games in training rooms. No one's worked out what the best combination would be. Sure, we've got some ideas, but you know, your guess is as good as mine. Well, we've just seen a whole lot of RollingSwarm botting around in some TDs, in ninjas with sledgehammers. It's hard to go wrong when you can one-shot something for like over 2000 HP. That being said, do you think that the Destroyer class, do you think that these ninjas with sledgehammers, that's the 4 tanks and that I've got here, let me just see if I can get into the game, so I've got a cursor, yes. Do you think the Jg.Pz 100, the FV215B183, the FV4005, or the Holry Type 3, do you think that these TDs with these abilities, do you think that this is Mad Games tournament meta or not? My personal opinion is that it's not. And I'd just like to explain why. I think that these are really fun and can be very powerful in many situations in public matches. But I think as soon as we start talking about coordinated team play, the strengths of these tanks diminish greatly. One, they're not very fast, mobility-wise, compared to the other options that are on the table, be that stealth mode IS-7s, speed boosting mediums, grill airlines, you name it. Like, there are things that can go really, really fast in mad games, and none of these tanks are up there really. The Jaegeru, good armor profile, trash mobility. The FE-183 and the FE-4005 are like soft, very, very soft, squishy targets that, you know, tournament players, skilled players will tear to pieces in coordinated team play with some of the other assets that are present in the game. And the Ho-Ri, yeah, it's pretty good. You know, it's got a little bit of everything, but it's not really a true specialist. Now, the Irradiator, the active perk, yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, in coordinated team play, we talk about focus fire, target priority. If you can irradiate a target, and you go from having 6 people shooting it, 50% damage, it's like 9 people shooting it. Like, tanks will cease to exist so quickly that have been irradiated in a tournament scenario. But there are better platforms for the Irradiator out there, and I'll show you what I mean about that in a bit. And Saboteur System, again, like, it's super useful in public matches on these vehicles, but once you take these destroyer class vehicles into a tournament setting, I think that the Saboteur System will lose a lot of its utility, because your top level tournament players are going to know where to blind fire. There's going to be crosstalk, voice, Discord communication between players on a team, and, you know, it's going to be much harder for you to sneak up on people. There's going to be good spotting lanes. There's going to be it's a different battlefield environment, and I don't think that these tanks would feature. Maybe you'd take one. I don't know. If you're looking forward to a Mad Games tournament, maybe you disagree with my opinion. Maybe you think, you know, the idea of 7 FE215B183s on a team sounds smashing. And smashing it would be. But would it work? And how far do you reckon you could take that in a group stage against, you know, progressively stronger, more capable teams? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. But let me just go on over. Let me get the right button on my little stream deck. Oh. And we've left in the little spinny animation, because why not? We're going to leave that in there because I'm not editing that out. So, although I call these tanks ninjas with sledgehammers, they actually have their own designation from Wargaming, which I didn't realize until I started making this video. The destroyer class here, and their example is the Jg.Panzer E100, modification Saboteur System, and the Irradiator. Now, Irradiator you can also pick up in the Pest and Armor Regenerator and Irradiator. Probably, I mean, the Batchat for sure, it's more mobile, it's got a better view range, it's going to be a better chassis for applying Irradiator effectively in a tournament setting, in my opinion. So, that's my take on it. Now, my plan is, this is my first ever major edited video. It's just easier to edit videos when you've got a little one. You just have more time to kind of chop and change, and less time to sort of deep dive in one session into a long stream. But what I'm planning to do is, every time that Mad Games gets put out onto the servers, I'm going to try and do 1 or 2 of these videos in that time period. So we've got 10. There are 10 combat roles to go through: the Powerhouse, the Dreadnought, the Cavalry, the Breakout, the Close Quarter Support. We've done the Destroyer, the Punch, the Support, the Pest, and the Sniper. Fun times. So, another thing for you to let me know in the comment section is, which one of these wonderful things should I cover next? Let me know. I've had an absolute blast playing Mad Games and making this compilation, and kind of thinking about all the craziness that is present in Mad Games. And yeah, if you like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, yada yada yada, and we'll see if we can do more. Anyways, this is RollingSwarm, signing out for now. Ciao, guys. Take care.